You're scrolling through real estate listings at midnight, half out of curiosity and half out of quiet panic. Every house that doesn't look like it's about to collapse cost $500,000. The kitchen has laminate countertops that were outdated when flip phones were still cool. The carpet is beige, in that sad, we gave up trying kind of way. There's fake wood paneling in the basement, and the listing agent still has the audacity to call it a starter home. Meanwhile, you're sitting there doing mental math on your salary, refreshing the listing photos, wondering if you somehow missed a massive promotion, or if the entire housing market has collectively lost its mind. Spoiler alert, it's not you, it's the math. And the math is absolutely brutal. Today, we're going to do something that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. We're going to calculate who can actually afford a $500,000 house in 2026. Not who a bank is willing to approve for a loan, not who can technically sign the paperwork, but who can genuinely afford it without turning their life into a full-time financial stress simulator. Because there's a massive difference between qualifying for a mortgage and actually being able to sleep at night once you own the house. Let's start with the uncomfortable reality that nobody likes to say out loud. In dozens of U.S. housing markets right now, $500,000 isn't luxury. It's baseline. That price doesn't buy you a mansion, it doesn't buy you marble floors or a chef's kitchen. It buys you a 1,200 square foot box with 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a backyard roughly the size of a beach towel. In cities like Denver, Austin, Phoenix, Nashville, or anything within a reasonable commute of a major metro area, $500,000 is what normal people are expected to come up with for normal houses. Now let's put that number next to income, because this is where things start to unravel. The median household income in the United States is roughly $84,000 a year. That means we're asking households earning $84,000 to buy homes that cost 6 times their annual income. If that ratio sounds insane to you, congratulations, you're paying attention. Historically, a healthy home price to income ratio was closer to 3 times income. 4 times was considered a stretch. 6 times isn't aggressive, it's reckless. But somehow, this has been normalized. Everyone keeps saying it's doable. The mortgage broker says you're approved. Your parents remind you they bought a house on way less. Some influencer online is flipping homes with no money down and a ring light. So what's the problem? The problem is that almost everyone is lying to you about what affordable actually means. Let's start where most people's dreams quietly go to die, the down payment. The old rule was 20% down. On a $500,000 house, that's $100,000 in cash. Not investments, not retirement accounts, actual money sitting there, ready to hand over. Let that number sink in. $100,000. The median savings account balance in America is around $8,000. That means most households aren't just a little short. They're about $92,000 short. And before you say, I'll just save it, let's do that math too. If you're earning $84,000 a year and somehow manage to save 10% of your gross income, which almost nobody does, you're saving about $8,400 per year. At that pace, it will take you nearly 12 years to save the down payment, assuming housing prices freeze in time and don't rise another dollar. They won't. They never do. So most people skip the 20% down payment and put down 5% or 10% instead. And that's when they unlock a brand new monthly expense called PMI, Private Mortgage Insurance. PMI is the fee you pay every single month for the crime of not already being wealthy. It usually runs between $200 and $400 a month, depending on your loan and credit. And here's the part nobody emphasizes enough. This insurance does not protect you. It protects the bank. You're paying extra money every month so the lender feels safer about lending to you. You're starting homeownership already being penalized. Now let's talk about the actual mortgage. Let's say you manage to scrape together 10% down. That's $50,000. You're left with a $450,000 loan. At current interest rates, somewhere between 6% and 7%, your monthly payment for principal and interest alone lands around $2,750 to $2,850. And that's before you've paid for a single other thing required to actually live in the house. Next come property taxes. Depending on where you live, you might be paying anywhere from $4,000 to $8,000 per year. Let's be conservative and call it $6,000 annually, or $500 per month. Then, homeowners insurance. Insurance costs have exploded over the last few years thanks to climate risk, natural disasters, and rising rebuild costs. In many areas, you're looking at another $250 to $350 per month. Then there's maintenance. This is the cost that gets ignored right up until the moment something breaks. The general rule is to budget about 1% of the home's value per year. On a $500,000 house, that's $5,000 annually, or about $417 per month. And don't forget PMI. Let's add another $300. Now let's add this all together. Mortgage, $2,850. Property taxes, $500. Insurance, $300. Maintenance, $417. PMI, $300. Your total monthly housing cost is now roughly $4,367. That's not worst case. That's not luxury. That's just existing in the house. Now here's where reality hits hard. Traditional financial guidelines suggest you shouldn't spend more than about 28% of your gross income on housing. Banks, on the other hand, will approve you with debt-to-income ratios as high as 43%. Let's reverse engineer both. If $4,367 represents 28% of your income, you need to earn roughly $187,000 per year. Even using the more lenient bank standard, you'd still need around $150,000 annually. And now comes the punchline. Only about 10% to 20% of U.S. households earn $150,000 or more. That means 80% of households cannot comfortably afford a $500,000 house under any reasonable financial standard. This isn't opinion. It's math being cruel. So who is buying these houses? Some are dual-income households in high-paying fields. Some have family money. Some sold a previous home at a massive profit. And many, far too many, are stretching themselves so thin that a single job loss, medical bill, or repair would collapse their entire financial life. Let's make this concrete. Meet a hypothetical household earning $160,000 combined, well above average, solidly upper middle class. By all appearances, they should be fine. After taxes, payroll deductions, and modest retirement contributions, they take home about $9,500 per month. Subtract the $4,367 housing cost. They're left with $5,133. Now life shows up. 2 car payments, $800. Car insurance, $250. Gas, $300. Student loans, $600. Health insurance premiums, $400. Groceries, $800. Utilities and phones, $450. They now have about $1,533 left. That's for clothing, entertainment, kids' activities, medical copays, repairs, emergencies, and actual savings. This household is spending nearly half of their take-home pay on housing. And they're not irresponsible. They're not reckless. They're doing what the market told them was normal. This is what being house poor actually feels like. It's checking your bank account before buying groceries. It's delaying car repairs and hoping nothing worse breaks. It's lying awake at night doing mental math about next month's bills. It's living one unexpected expense away from panic. Now imagine trying to make this work on $120,000, or $100,000, or the actual median income of $84,000. At that level, Buying a $500,000 house isn't tight. It's not aggressive. It's a financial fantasy. And here's what makes this situation truly insidious. The system doesn't care. Sellers list homes at these prices because that's what comps support. Banks approve loans because technically they won't default immediately. Agents push buyers to stretch because their commission depends on closing. Nobody in the transaction is incentivized to tell you that you're about to financially drown yourself. Once you buy, you're locked in. You can't casually undo it. So people stay. They stay in houses they can't afford, working jobs they hate, watching their savings disappear, wondering why they feel constantly stressed while living the so-called dream. For most American households, a $500,000 home is not affordable in any sustainable sense. This isn't personal failure. It's a market that has completely detached from income reality. Home prices have risen roughly 400% since 1990. Household incomes have risen about 180%. That gap doesn't close with budgeting tips. You can't avocado toast your way out of a structural affordability crisis. So here's the uncomfortable but empowering truth. There is no prize for buying a house you can't afford. There is no reward for being house poor. The stress will erase any joy you felt the day you got the keys. Real wealth isn't ownership at any cost. It's margin. It's flexibility. It's being able to handle life without panic. You are allowed to look at the math and walk away. You are allowed to rent, invest, wait, move, or downsize. You are allowed to say, "This doesn't make sense for me right now." That isn't failure. That's clarity. The smartest move isn't buying the biggest house the bank allows. It's choosing the number that lets you live your life without constant financial fear. And for most people, that number is nowhere near $500,000. If this helped you think differently about money, subscribe for more grounded, real-world financial thinking. No hype, no shortcuts, just systems that compound over time. I'll see you in the next one.